Hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, thanks so much for being here. Well, I have another exciting show for you. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to highlight the Saybrook Stage Company, and Terri Corigliano, the founder, producer, and terrific actress, is my guest, along with Mark Gilchrist, an actor and graphic designer. And thank you both so much for being here and coming to the station.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Terri, it's your third time.
It is, right? Thank you so much for having us.
Well, I'm thrilled because we have a lot to talk about. And Mark, thank you so much for being here.
Sure, my pleasure.
I appreciate it so much. Terri, I know the viewer is probably saying, I adore her, I love her plays, she's wonderful, but I don't remember a lot of her history. So why don't we talk about your background? Tell us about yourself.
Myself, okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I've been acting since I'm about this high, it's just been a passion of mine forever. Of course, I have a day job too. I am an attorney still, but I taught for about 30 years. I taught the different levels of, I've taught grammar school at one point, high school for 10 years, and then at Quinnipiac for about 12 years. I taught public speaking and law for the most part, as a lawyer. So that's my background.
And are you busy with just the theater these days?
These days I am, and I'm also doing some writing projects of my own. I'm actually writing a play and working on a couple other pieces and doing some voiceover work.
And Mark,
yes.
Actor and graphic designer, that's a really interesting combination. Tell us about your background.
Sure. I was born and raised in Ohio, went to Ohio State on a chemical engineering scholarship and left with a BFA in theater.
That's an interesting combination.
Yeah. So I started, getting jobs in acting. I moved to New York. I did some regional theater, some summer stock, and eventually had the opportunity to join Actors Equity, and did the struggling actor thing for I don't even know how many years. I always it was 6 or 7 years. And just through other opportunities that I had that arose, I ended up deciding to leave the theater. Things weren't just weren't happening. And again, through certain contacts that I'd had along the way, I ended up apprenticing at an old-fashioned typesetting house, started to learn graphic design, and it kind of evolved, and that's how I became a graphic designer.
And then what happened from graphic designer to being an actor again?
Yeah, so I got married. We had 2 kids, and my daughter, at I'm not sure the age, around 10 or so, started to show an interest in theater. So she wanted to audition for a local theater company that was in Madison at the time. And she loved it. She got into her first show, and I started to volunteer as a designer. I would design the programs for them and the posters and so on. And she did, 4 or 5 shows with that same group, and eventually they did a show where they decided they wanted to start maybe adding some adult actors again. And so they were like, you used to act, right? You've done something. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I've done things. So I actually made my triumphant return to the stage in a production of Oliver's Mr. Bumble.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
neat.
And that kind of just reignited the love, and a lot of the bitterness I had at the beginning when I was frustrated with not being able to make it had gone away, and I was just enjoying it, and that's kind of what started it. And I did a bunch of shows with them, and then I started to get, audition for other groups in Connecticut.
And you had mentioned before we started taping that you're doing both still, graphic design as well as performing.
Yes.
How on earth do you juggle both?
Well, my day job is and has been for a long time now being a graphic designer. I have my own company. And so the theater is just something I squeeze in. I mean, the rehearsal schedules are longer when you're not doing professional theater because most people work during the day, so you're doing rehearsals at night. And so we start a little earlier, so you've got more time. Rather than putting up a show in 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes you have 6 weeks, 8 weeks for bigger musicals and so on, and you've got all that time to learn your lines. And it's just through a lot of it. I have gotten better at it again. The first Oliver was just a nightmare because I hadn't had to learn anything for so long, and it was, oh my gosh, this is not going as easy as it used to. But doing it on a more regular basis again, it's gotten a little easier again, and you know, it's just the repetition at rehearsal really helps a lot. You know, Terri and I were talking about that recently, where you realize by the end of a 2.5-hour rehearsal where you've run that scene 6 or 7 or 8 times, a lot of times by the end of it, you've already started to learn the lines just through repetition. So.
Let's talk about the Saybrook Stage Company. Tell us about it, the formation of it, and how is it doing?
The formation of it was basically my husband and I decided to start a theater company, you know, on the shoreline when the Kate, you know, came along, and it's doing great. And as I said, we've been in existence for about 13 years now, and we've done all sorts of shows, and I really think we have quite a following now. We put on a show for only one weekend, a long weekend, and we have almost 1,200 people see our shows in one weekend, oftentimes. So it's pretty neat. It's really.
And you have it at the Kate.
We do. We do, yes. And the Kate's a wonderful venue. You know, Brett Elliott at the Kate is just amazing. He's an amazing, you know, friend and also amazing executive director. All the things he's brought to the Kate is just so wonderful for the community. And actually, he is our lighting designer along with Jacob Kaufman in this one. And Jacob is also our sound designer for this. So it's a lot of fun to have Brett at the helm of the theater, but also like doing some really great creative things with this.
One of the reasons why I wanted to have you here is that you have a play coming up.
We do.
In January. Tell us about it. What's the name? Tell us about the play.
We do. It's called Blithe Spirit, and it's by Noel Coward. And we haven't done a Noel Coward piece before, but it's really kind of interesting. It's a little bit of a challenge for me because I have to learn an English accent.
Oh.
And Mark is very good at accents, but I am listening in my car as I'm driving along. So I'm getting it little by little, but it's a lot of fun. The play itself is quite tech heavy. At the end, there's a lot of things that go off, you know, in the set, and you know, all sorts of kind of fun, you know, spiritual, spooky things that happen. And our set designer, Dan Nishon, is just amazing at that kind of thing. So it's really wonderful to have him on board. And Glenn Bassett has actually directed for us before and also done set design for us. He's directing us this time around, and he has a lot of really great takes on the text of the material, and has really wonderful, you know, really creative individual. So it's a lot of fun to work with him.
And Mark, you are in this play, and you're saying
yes,
that you have a tremendous amount to say.
I do, yeah.
How are you doing learning your lines?
Well, it's too early to even talk about that yet. I'm doing okay. I'm not panicked yet, but yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot in this role. As you know, you mentioned you saw one of the previous performances I had done, and there were a lot of lines in that show, and I think this is at least 50% more than what I had in that one. And it's with a British accent, and you know, it's sort of what I find interesting about the show in general, though, is that knowing what I thought I knew about Noel Coward, which was that it was going to be sort of highbrow British humor, and it turns out there's actually a lot of physical comedy in the show that I didn't expect, and we keep finding new little bits as rehearsals go on that make it fun. In a way that I didn't expect at first.
Right.
So.
And I think the interesting thing that I learned about Noel Coward, which you may or may not know, I think a lot of people think that he was born, you know, in an upper middle class family or had that status in society, and he did not. He was in the lower level of society, and so he really has a great understanding of that, you know, structure that was there, you know, back in the 1930s, whenever it was supposed to be. And so it's really kind of interesting to see. And when I think, you know, a lot of times people look at period pieces and they think, oh, why are they doing that now? But I think it's really important to look back and to see how far we've come as a society, and that we can now laugh at this. And this is kind of kind of a fun thing to look at. And he also was making, you know, it's called a comedy of manners. So he found the funny moments in those levels of society, whether it be the maid, whether it be, you know, Charles Condamine, you know. And so it's kind of interesting to kind of look back at Noel Coward's history.
And one of the things I want to do, because you're saying looking back, is that I had the pleasure of seeing both of you in Heaven Can Wait.
Oh.
And we have tape from that. So why don't we play that so people can see what your performance was like in July?
Okay.
So if we can roll that tape, that would be great.
Mr. Farnsworth?
No, I'm Mr. Abbott.
Glad to meet you, Mr. Abbott.
I am Jonathan Farnsworth's personal secretary.
Well, then maybe you can tell me what he wants with me?
Probably. If you would tell me just exactly what it is that you do.
I'm in the fight racket. I'm a manager. I manage fighters.
I couldn't possibly imagine what my husband would want with a fight manager.
Nor I.
Well, I see he goes in for athletics. Maybe he's thinking of entering the ring, the squared circle.
Don't be absurd, my good man. Just state your business and I'll write you a letter of reference or
Say,
whatever
don't
it is.
come getting snooty with me. Look, I got a telegram from Farnsworth to be...
Max! How you doing, you old son of a gun? Oh, gee, I'm glad to see you.
You know me?
Oh, know you? I ought to know you, you dirty double-crossing how do you like my monkey suit? These are my morning clothes, Muggs. I got special suits for mornings, afternoons, evenings. I'm a regular prima donna.
Your hat, sir.
Oh, hey, now listen, I was only gonna put that on for laughs. I knew he was coming. Yeah, take it away. Hey, everybody, scram out of here while I talk some private business with my pal Max here.
How dare you talk to me like that?
Come on, scram.
Come along, Mrs. Farnsworth.
I don't know what suddenly come over you, darling.
I'm fine, and the less you worry about me, the better I like it. Now go.
I'm just gonna call Dr. Evans.
Ooh, don't go calling nobody. Please, just please, leave me alone. That dame gets my goat. Say, what's the matter, Max? Hey, don't you know me?
Sure, I know you. Everybody knows you, Mr. Farnsworth.
Oh, where are your eyes, you dumb ox? I'm not Farnsworth, I'm Joe Pendleton. You're Joe!
You're nuts, Mr. Farnsworth.
Maybe I don't look like Joe anymore, but I swear I'm him just the same. And it's all your fault.
My fault?
Yeah, if you wasn't in such a goddamn rush to go burning up my body, I wouldn't be in this jam now.
Take it easy, Mr. Farnsworth. Your wife was right. You need a doctor.
Oh, you're gonna need one soon.
I'm a busy man, and if you're screwy...
Just who I want to see. I need you to prove something here to my pal Max. This is my manager, Max Levine. He's the guy cremated me. Max, this is Jordan.
Glad to meet you, Jordan. Say, why don't we have a little drink? The three of us.
Sure, Max, help yourself. I forgot you can't see her.
Yeah, well, maybe I will after I have a couple.
No, you can't see her because you ain't dead yet.
Well, I ain't screwy either. Here's yours. Here's mine. And the third one disappears. I'm taking a taxi to the booby hatch.
And what fun. I'm so glad you sent that tape over. Now, you were fantastic, both of you, in that play. How was it to be in Heaven Can Wait?
Oh, it was so much fun. It was just a great production, a lot of fun. It was great. The chemistry between Nick and Mark, I thought was just phenomenal.
It was really great working with Nick. Yeah, that was our first time that we'd worked together.
Yeah.
So yeah, and in fact, Kevin, who played Mr. Abbott, the gentleman that greeted me that I thought was Farnsworth originally, he's actually in
this as
our
well.
show, this one too, in Blithe Spirit. So.
One of the things I don't want to forget is the website. What will the viewer find when they visit it?
Oh, our website, you can see our past productions, but you can also see information about the current production of Blithe Spirit. It'll also there's a link to the tickets that then you just click on that. It'll take you right to the website of the Kate, and you can order tickets that way as well. So saybrookStage.org.
SaybrookStage.org, yes, of course. What does the future look like for the theater? I know that we talked about that because you perform in January and July, is that correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you haven't concretely thought about what you're going to do in July yet. What's the process that you go through to decide on a play?
Usually my husband and I, and sometimes my daughter will read, various scripts, a lot of scripts, to find the right show for the right time. And it takes a lot. There's a lot of good things out there, but there's a lot not so good things out there, especially if you want to do a contemporary piece. It's tough to find because we do have a certain following and stuff. So it's a challenge to find something, but we always find the right mix.
Okay, let's hold that thought. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You are tuned into Arts and Entertainment. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Typically, 40% of all charitable donations are received during the last few weeks of the year. The BBBY's Giving Alliance urges potential donors to research charities before giving to ensure their generous contributions are going to trustworthy organizations. Watch out for name similarities. When charities seek support for the same cause, their names are often similar. Before you give, be sure you have the exact name of the charity to avoid a case of mistaken identity. Review the website carefully. A responsible charity will include its mission and programs, measurable goals, and concrete criteria that describe its achievements. You should also be able to find information on their finances. Keep in mind the type of work a charity does will affect its costs. Avoid impromptu donation decisions to unfamiliar organizations. Take time to do your research. Remember, responsible organizations will welcome a gift tomorrow as much as they do today. Verify a charity at bbbsgive.org. Where possible, donate to the charity through their website and use a credit card. For more holiday tips from Better Business Bureau, go to bbb.org/holiday.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. We're highlighting the Saybrook Stage Company. Hope you're enjoying the show. Terri, we were talking during the break about, let's talk about Blithe Spirit. What is the play about? What is it that you'd like the audience to know?
Oh, the play is about a writer, Charles Condamine, who calls a spiritualist into his home to have a seance in order to find out what a spiritualist is like, and he's actually doing I'm
writing a book.
Writing a book, and so he's wondering, what is it like to be that, and he's kind of modeling the character after it. But I am actually in the role of Madame Arcadi, and I come in, I do the seance, and they've never been to a seance before, and I mistakenly or inadvertently call back his dead wife, yes. And he's married, and so both wives kind of meet, but they don't meet. The wife can't see the ghost, but only Charles can see the ghost. So every time Charles goes to talk to the ghost, the living wife thinks that he's talking to her, and the comedy ensues, along with all sorts of things.
Tell us about the part that you are playing. You said that it's the most lines that you've had. What's it like?
Yeah, barring Shakespeare, I think it is the most I've had. So I'm sort of a snooty British writer who doesn't take any of this seriously, by the way. His whole thing is that the book is going to have a character in it that is an imposter as a medium. And he's assuming that Madame Arcadi is in fact an imposter. And so everybody's especially surprised when she actually manages to conjure my ex-wife, or not my ex-wife, because she's just passed away. But it comes as a surprise to everybody. And Charles sort of, again, he's snooty. He's very sort of, feels like he's better than everybody, and you sort of see him unwind as the craziness of him being able to see his dead wife and juggling, trying to explain it to and appease his living wife while he's being tormented by the dead wife, and it kind of gets crazy, and Charles goes a little off the deep end by the end.
Right. And of course, Angela Lansbury played my role on Broadway, and she was just amazing, absolutely amazing. And I was reading an article about her doing it just a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying how it was just like the best role she could imagine on Broadway to have, even MAME and all that. And she said she's just having so much fun with it. I feel the same way. It is just so much fun.
Why did you decide on that play?
I actually, many people have been, suggesting I do this for years, and I just never really explored the possibility of a Noel Coward piece. I don't know why. I think there were other ones that I wanted to, produce before that. But I actually saw it recently, and I thought it really would be kind of interesting, and I know the Kate's audience is going to love it.
Auditioning for actors. I know that you do that, and I probably have many actors, wannabe actors, that would like to be performing on stage in theater.
Right.
How do they find you? What do they do?
Well, on our website, we'll post our auditions. We also post on Connecticut Call Board and Backstage and things like that. So whenever, and usually like for a July production, we'll usually post somewhere around the end of April, beginning of May.
One of the things that I want to highlight now is the Kate and how much it means to you. Has it been a good venue for you to perform in?
Yes, the Kate means everything to us right now. I mean, it just, the support behind it, to have a theater like that and the people that work there, it's just wonderful. It's been such a phenomenal experience for us. And I think for all of our actors who come in and are part of the Kate, it's really just a very special place to perform. Can't get better, in my opinion.
Well, this is a thank you special tape dedicated to the Kate and to all of your people that help you. So if we can roll that tape, that would be great.
People often tell us how grateful they are that the Saybrook Stage Company is part of the Shoreline artistic community, and we're so happy to be a part of the Kate and to be able to produce live theater in such a beautiful venue in the perfect New England town. But Saybrook Stage Company has given us so many things in return over the last 12 years. The friendships we've made and the professional connections and opportunities that present themselves to us just keep growing every year. We may run the Saybrook Stage Company, but the success of it is the combined efforts and passions of countless talented, energetic people. There's the actors, of course, but the people behind the scenes also put in hours of work that make it all happen. There are directors, set designers, lighting designers, set builders, stage managers, costume designers, hair and makeup designers, prop masters, and stage crew. And the local support of businesses in the area like the Gainty Group, who willingly donate rehearsal and set building space, and the Westbrook Ambulance Association. It's a labor of love for all of us. It's not always easy, but the rewards are something I never could have imagined when we produced Our Town all those years ago. We're so grateful to Brett Elliott and all the people at the Kate for their constant support of all we do. Each time we move into the Kate to build a set for a new show, there is such a warm feeling of community. If you're an artist that's lucky enough to perform at the Kate, it doesn't matter where you're from. LA, New York, Chicago, Hartford, or right here in her own backyard. While you're there, you too feel as if the theater's your home. Here's to you, Kate. I hope we make you proud.
And welcome back. So glad to have you. Well, the Kate and a thank you video, which we've played before. Mark, tell us what it was like for you to perform at the Kate. How is it?
It really has been wonderful. I was sort of very pleasantly surprised when I got the opportunity to do it. With my first show with you guys was Noises Off. I had no idea what to expect coming into that audition, and I got cast. We actually played husband and wife in that first show, I think, right? And it's been wonderful. This is my 7th production with them, with Saybrook Stage, but they've all been at the Kate, and it's just a really wonderful experience and a great space. You know, everybody that I've ever talked to that has seen any of the shows there, whether it's from Saybrook Stage or any of the other things that they bring in, everybody loves the space. So,
have you thought about performing with other organizations or a Saybrook Stage where you're going to stay put and be an actor?
No, I mean, I work with other groups too, and have over the years. It just depends on the roles that are available. As I get older, there are fewer and fewer roles that are an option anymore, and it really just depends on what's out there. I mean, obviously, with COVID, everybody was shut down for a while, and I didn't do anything. Although even there, I was able to do some Zoom readings of plays, so yeah, it varies. It just depends on the roles and the shows that are coming up.
Performing, will you both stay performing? I mean, we're growing in Saybrook Stage's history. We're getting a little older. People are asking me how long I'll do this show. Will you folks stay performing for a while?
I hope so. I plan to.
Yeah, same with me.
What are your thoughts as the future holds? Will this theater continue to move on?
I hope so. Again, we really enjoy doing it, and sort of our, gift to the community. It's as I said in the video, it's not always easy, right. But we really, it's something I think that's important to people, and I know Mark, I'm sure will feel the same way, but you can really feel it when you're there. And I think the nice thing about the Cade is such an intimate space that you really feel the audience so much more even than I have in many other venues I performed in. It's just they're closer, but there's just a nice warmth to the space and just that connection. So it's really a lot of fun.
Well, I want to thank you both for being here. We have run out of time. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Deborah. It was great to be here.
And you've been tuned in to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert. In case you'd like to volunteer for the program, I'd love to have you. Please contact me at artsandentertainment@mail.com. Well, I hope you have a super day. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.